What's going on, guys? Welcome to the Hustle and Heal podcast. We had a great conversation at my parents' house yesterday. Me, my mom, and dad, and honestly, for one, I'm grateful enough to have them both still in my life. So, big shout outs to them. Big supporters of my recovery, indirectly, directly. However, they they helped. But um, on that topic, let's talk about addiction and recovery. You can't do it alone. I mean, that's for one. That's part of the reason they emphasize a higher power. Putting something above yourself. For a long time, I put, you know, alcohol above everything else, above myself. It was my higher power. So you come to the crossroads of, I can't do this. It's unmanageable. So you you start to, humble yourself down, start to look at a bigger reason to live, and start living for those reasons, whatever those reasons are. Your family, whether they're your ambitions, of jobs, your work, a relationship, whatever it may be. The headphones are throwing off my audio, but nonetheless, the conversation went pretty well. We were talking about religion, talking about household ethics, and what happened to the old school teaching in the homes. I mean, I feel like the home is where education should start, and and absolutely, you go home, do homework, whatever that may be, from whatever field or journey you're on. Organize your home, protect your circle and your peace. Let's see, it's early, I'm just getting these reps in. I'm just recording these audios, and again, repetition until you get better. There's a lot of things I want to work on in terms of communication, in value, and the things that I want to be able to give back. And for one, I'm realizing that help that's not requested can also be a burden. It could be looked at as judgment instead of help. So, for one, if there is anyone that is in need and needs support, or someone to speak to, that's where I come in. I don't want to push my recovery or that idea on anyone. I don't want to push the idea of you know achieving things beyond your comfort zone without your consent. You have to agree to want to change. The message won't get delivered if the address is unknown. So either way, again, great opportunities are lining up. And I gotta also, we were talking about this yesterday, is how to keep faith. I think this whole year's been a good example of my faith being tested. I speak about faith, and then I get tested, and then my faith is then shown. So I got to start realigning, um, revisiting a lot of myself. You know, your outlook, my outlook to life within this last year has shifted from optimistic, blind, I guess, to more focused, reflection. And I think that's a good. I might have worded it poorly, but I believe that's a good system of analyzing, evaluating yourself of where did I go from where I'm at and where I want to be. And I'm a lot better today than I was 2 days ago. But again, what's going to happen in 2 more days? So staying positive, being prepared, prepping for the next mountain. That was a hill. There's going to be another valley and then a mountain to climb. So just things to consider. Speaking earlier about how communication is important in any relationship. I'm trying to communicate better, and in doing so, I'm learning that that requires better listening. Communication isn't always vocal. You have to think clear or think and listen with intention. A lot of times we speak just to be heard, and you want to be choosy with the words you use. They do matter and they impact. I'm drifting, off my topic a little, but all my points still matter. But driving back to being a better communicator, again, for one, the intention of understanding comes first. Hearing out, all parties in the situation, in the relationship before you input, interject your 2 cents. What I'm realizing is that it's scatterbrained because I have no destination. So I really need to start organizing and getting a lot more dialed in when it comes to everything. And even that's not dialed in specific enough. Let's set an example. Let me dial in on my topics on this podcast, specifically on what times I'm shooting, how long I'm shooting for. Set aside time of the day specifically to maximize your efforts to improve your experience goals and gain confidence. So again, that's dialing in. That's scratching the surface, to be honest with you. A lot more clearer thoughts would be written down. So if I were to have written that down, it's recorded so I can go back and look at it. But at the same time, when you write things down, it allows a lot of the clutter of your thoughts to dissipate and you focus on exactly what you're trying to intentionally do. So again, going back to intentions, dialing things down in order to move forward with what you're looking to accomplish. A lot of us want to be more confident. Confident, again, isn't something you're born with. It's a learned skill, a behavior of repetition. And perfect example is, have you ever walked into a room and greeted everyone face to face in handshake or shook their hand? That's not easy to do, but try it. See what confidence it builds. So I think this is a good shut off point because I'm starting to run dry, but I think I hit a couple good points. I'm going to chop this up, look back at what I got, take notes for myself. Ultimately, what I've been doing is a disservice to myself and others by honestly not putting my best foot forward when it comes to this. So I need to take more of the perfection and put more of my process into it. Progress over perfection. So just repetitions and keep going. Eventually, something will get better. I love you guys.